Greetings, everyone. Rajee Narinesingh here, transgender activist, author, and actress. I am on season 2 and 3 of the reality show Botched on the E! Network, and I've also made a couple appearances on the reality show I Am Jazz on the TLC network. So, I have a message for the country of Trinidad and Tobago. Recently, I heard of a horrific murder of a Trinidadian transgender woman by the name of Sasha Fierce. She was murdered in Nelson Mandela Park in St. Clair, Trinidad. And, as a Trinidadian transsexual, a Trini-tranny, well, I think I qualify. I mean, I'm mixed. My mom is American, but my dad was from Trinidad. He was from Central Trinidad, from Orangeville Road, Carapichaima, not too far from Chaguanas. And besides, I love my buttocks pepper sauce. And you know, if I love buttocks, it's got to be in my blood, right? But on a serious note, after hearing about the death of Miss Sasha Fierce, I started to really think about my connection to Trinidad and, if I would ever be able to visit again. About 2 years ago, I actually got an invitation. A cousin of mine's daughter was getting married, and he invited me to the wedding. Now, I would have loved to go, but honestly, I was afraid. I just didn't know if Trinidad was ready for me, And there is an anti-gay law that still exists in Trinidad and Tobago. And also, just the mentality, the negative mentality that a lot of TNT people have against the LGBT community. So I just didn't know if it was safe. And so I decided not to go, unfortunately. I have a lot of fond memories of growing up and going to visit Trinidad. Every couple years, my parents would take my sister and I to visit my grandparents, my Aji and Aja, and other family members. And we'd have such a wonderful time. I mean, with family and friends, we'd go to Manzalina Beach, we'd go to Caracas, Point Fortin. I just, we were really literally all over the island. And then let's not forget about the delicious food. Oh my goodness. Like hops bread with some fried shark and you put a little pepper sauce in it. Or doubles. Palori. Curry goat with roti. And I love puri. That's my favorite. So, I have a lot of fond memories. I just haven't been back in years. And I don't know really if I can go back. I mean, how I would be received. The LGBT community, not only Trinidad, but just a lot of people in general, have negative opinions when it comes to LGBT people. Whether you don't understand it, you don't agree with it, all the different reasons why you don't like us and like who we are. But the key word is people. Despite our differences and whether you don't agree with us or you don't understand us, the fact is we are still human beings. We're still human beings. And I know that we are literally all over the world. I mean, we're everywhere. LGBT people are everywhere in the world. I remember coming to Trinidad to visit, and some of the boys in the village, they would actually flirt with me and try to get me to go into the sugarcane fields with them and stuff like that. Mind you, I was a good girl. I never went. But, we're everywhere, and this has continued to exist in humanity forever, since the beginning. So, we're here. And again, whether you agree or disagree or you don't have understanding of why we are the way we are. Me, as a trans woman, I can tell you, I believe that I was born this way. I really do. From a little child, I was an effeminate little boy. I was very feminine, and it was in me then. I remember 4 years old, the kids starting to call me names like, sissy and faggot, and, well, I know in Trinidad, what is it, blumman? And I know there's another word, I can't remember it now, but, all those words at 4 years old. And so it's been in me from the beginning. And when you look around at nature, I mean, like, when things exist in nature, you have to question, like, why wouldn't they exist with us human beings? There are transgender species. The worm is transgender. It's male and female together. The oyster is male and female together. There's a fish called the parrotfish that's also male and female in one. So if it exists in nature, why wouldn't it show up in some human beings? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I know people have their reasons why they may disagree with transgender people, or for that matter, the LGBT community. But again, like I said, the key word is that, we're people, we're human beings. And I know my father had a hard time with this. Him and I, we had our issues. But when it was all said and done, my dad said to me, it is what it is. You're my child and I love you. And, as a Trinidadian man, and I grew up around Trinidadians, I know that most Trinidadians are hardworking people. They have a lot of pride. And one thing that they do is they do stick by their family. Usually, if you're a family, they claim you and they stick by you. And that's what I've noticed with my family in Carapichaima, Orangefield. There's some that are distant, but a lot of them have, rallied around me, and they have accepted me as, the fact that I'm family. And even though they may not understand me being trans or agree with it, they still, they still consider me family. And so, there's a story about this guy. When I went to Trinidad for one of my cousin's weddings, it was a Hindu wedding, and Hindu weddings are about a week long. It was the Friday night, the beginning of the wedding ceremonies, and we had a gay man come from the village, that was in the village, that dressed up, transvestite, dressed up as a woman and performed and danced, on the Friday night. And, I knew that people in the village probably did talk bad about him and laughed at him and that sort of thing. But on the flip side, in an odd kind of way, they still supported him, because he was a part of the village. So I know the humanity is there. And, in actuality, this message isn't only for Trinidadians. It's for people all around the world that are negative against the LGBT community and don't like us and don't support us. I mean, again, the whole human thing, we at least deserve to be respected as fellow human beings. And we are entitled to our basic civil rights just like anyone else. I don't know if I'll ever be able to come back to Trinidad and see my family. Come back to Trinidad and lime and wine. But no, more importantly, see so many family members that I haven't seen in many, many years. Maybe one day it will happen. But I want to dedicate this video to Sasha Fierce, Miss Sasha Fierce, a proud Trinidadian transgender woman, and the LGBT people in Trinidad and Tobago. Stand up tall, hold your head up, and know that you too have a divine purpose here on this planet. Don't let anyone make you feel less than. And continue to fight. Continue to fight for your basic human rights. I wish everyone love, peace, and blessings.